The story is told that a journalist assigned to the Jerusalem Bureau took an apartment overlooking the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. Every day, when she looks out, she sees an old Jewish man praying vigorously. So after several months, the journalist goes down and introduces herself to the old man, and she asks, "You come every day to the wall? How long have you done that? And what are you praying for?" The old man replies, "I have come here to pray every day for 25 years. In the morning, I pray for world peace, and then for the brotherhood of humankind. I go home, have a cup of tea, and I come back, and I pray for the eradication of illness and disease from the earth. And in the late evening, I pray for peace." The journalist is amazed. "So how does it make you feel to come here every day for 25 years and pray for these things?" she asks. And the old man looks at her and says, "Like I'm talking to a wall." There are perhaps as many reasons for attending this service as there are people in this room. But if I had one wish, if there were just one thing we could all agree upon, it would be to support Israel. Yes, there are multiple opinions as to what is wrong and how they need to be addressed. But the critics have not understood that Israel is not only a country, it's a concept. It's a concept that creates not only the values of our community, but in many ways it creates the community itself. And there are many organizations and ways to support her. Whether you are liberal or traditional, right or left, there is a path for you to follow. There are many ways of supporting her, and there are no valid reasons not to find a way. I'm not going to bore you with a long list of reasons as to why Israel is the center of our universe, as a concept and as a state. I will tell you that without Israel, most of us, if not all of us, would not be here today. And those who survived would not be Jews as we understand it. I've talked with my counterparts in both the Jewish and non-Jewish communities who remain undeterred with their criticisms. I have learned through the years that they are uninterested in history or the past. They are only interested in the present. And even subconsciously, they hold Israel to the biblical description as a light unto the nations. And they don't seem to care if that light turns into a conflagration for Israel. I ask them whether they would divest from the countries where official policy has slaughtered thousands of Christians and Muslims, or countries where occupation is the new normal, and their answers are evasive. They weren't interested in the concept of fairness. They expect good to prevail and centuries-old conflicts to be resolved, all by the state of Israel. If there is no peace, it must be Israel's fault. And I spoke to them about the rise of anti-Semitism, where neo-Nazis and anti-Semitic elements have targeted Jewish communities, our community, because of the Israel political policy. No, Rabbi, that's not anti-Semitism. But then again, you have to understand that what happens in Israel directly affects how the world sees Jews. After all these years, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. Isn't it ironic that Israel is symbolized by two walls? The Western Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, the last vestige of Jewish independence from Rome 2,000 years ago, the symbol of Jewish resilience in the face of ongoing historical tragedy, and our continuing hope for security in a world we do not control, and the security fence that almost surrounds Israel, and up until October 7th, ensured safety from terrorism and death. Despite this, we have a tremendous amount of support in the non-Jewish community. There are various reasons for this, and while admittedly some are theologically inconsistent with our beliefs, the support is there and welcomed. It is here internally where we suffer the most. It is an established belief that what happens to one Jew happens to us all. We all bear responsibility for each other. This is why we expended so much effort to bring our kin living in perilous circumstances in Syria, Iran, Iraq, Ethiopia, and the former Soviet Union, just to name a few. We are family. There are three basic purposes for family. The first and foremost reason is to provide us with an identity. Just as every individual has a sense of his or her own identity, so every family has a sense of its own identity. Studies have shown that in every family, individual members have their assigned roles. Their roles are determined by who the family needs them to be. In this way, the family grows and prospers. Israel is part of our family, and while she may not be what we want her to be, she is what we need her to be. She keeps us together and inspires us. Even as she gives the world technology and advances that are unique to her. Family identity incorporates certain beliefs about family membership, that is, who belongs and who does not, both now and in the past. For example, in some families, second cousins are members. In others, they are not. Anyone who has had to cull a wedding list knows this is true. Sometimes the closest family members are the most biologically distant. Israel's law of return has helped define the answers of who is a Jew. While we may not all agree what makes a person Jewish, the state of Israel provides a political answer that influences us, all of us, to this very day. The land of Israel shapes the identity of the people Israel. There isn't a leader or member of the clergy who has not visited or lived in Israel. We are all members of its family. It is the state of Israel which contributed and worked for the redemption of the Soviet Jews, the Ethiopian Jews, and Jews at risk around the world. She has a role in our global Jewish family. The second purpose of family is to provide a place we call home. I have always found the definition of home best described by Robert Frost as the place where when you have to go there, they have to take you in. This line highlights the unconditional acceptance and obligation that family and close relationships can provide, particularly in times of need. It suggests that a true home, is not just a physical place, but a space of belonging and refuge where one can always find support. Having a safe haven allows us the ability to support others through pain and trial. It means that we need not suffer alone. We hold hands, we share tears, we lift our voices and cry together, and in so doing, we lift one another up. And is that not what Israel does for us? No matter how removed we are from her, she is still there. It is the place where there is a law of return to protect us from those forces and peoples who would wish to destroy us. This concept of sanctuary is new to our people, and one we have fought to create and preserve. And the third reason, I believe, that family is the gift given to us to facilitate change in our lives. In a warm, nurturing environment, a child can spread their wings and experiment, knowing all the time that the parents are there to make sure the fall is not too far or too great. Even toxic conditions lead a person who yearns for a healthy life to change themselves and their environment. This ability to change is in no small measure able to teach us the meaning of forgiveness. Admittedly, not everyone wants to change, and not everyone accepts that family is meant for acceptance and security, but right-thinking individuals must set the standard for others and create the values we call home. Tucked into the Torah narrative on these Rosh Hashanah readings is an episode that is little known and seldom studied. Abraham has a nephew, Lot, a companion who traveled with him from the very beginning. Lot left Mesopotamia, journeyed with Abraham to the Promised Land, to Egypt, and finally back into what would become the land of Israel. He endured famine and danger alongside his uncle. But they had a falling out. While the text is not specific in detail, Abraham is so torqued off at Lot that he tells him, we must separate. And Abraham wants this separation so badly that he says, you pick any direction you want, anywhere, and I'll go somewhere else. Considering that Abraham has been promised the entire land by God, his ceding to Lot anything must be a mark of how desperate he was to get rid of him. And Lot, being Lot, chooses the most fertile of lands, the most beautiful. You may have heard of it. It's called Sodom. But that's not the most puzzling aspect of the story. Sometime later, Lot is caught up in a war not of his own making. He's taken prisoner. When Abraham hears the news, he immediately gets up, calls his allies, and fights a pitched battle, successfully rescuing his nephew. There is no record that they ever spoke or even communicated. Abraham rescues him, refuses to take a reward from the king of Sodom, and returns home. They never saw each other again. In fact, they may never have seen each other during the rescue. It's an odd story, but the message is clear. Family is family. You may not like each other. You may not agree with one another. But in times of crisis, you must support each other. We are a unique people. We have a unique history, and our relationship with Israel is a great part of what makes this possible. Years ago, a man named Avshalom Greenberg was buried in Israel. They placed him near the grave of Theodor Herzl, the father of modern Zionism. It's a very special place. His name was unknown to almost all. So the question asked by those who buried him, what had this person done to merit such a place of honor in the military cemetery in Jerusalem? So let me tell you about Avshalom Greenberg. During World War I, he was one of a small group of Palestinian spies who, at the risk of their own lives, were providing vital information to the British. In the dead of night in Haifa harbor, they would swim out to the British ships with information about the enemy. A select few of these spies embarked on a mission to Egypt, setting out on foot through the Sinai Desert. All but Avshalom were immediately captured and tortured. Before they were executed by the Turks, they related their story about their mission. The episode ended, and is one of the many forgotten in the midst of murky history. The story was over. Avshalom was missing and presumed dead, and 50 years went by. At the outbreak of the Six-Day War, during the dash of Israeli tanks through the Sinai, an Israeli tank commander noticed a strange sight. In the middle of the desert, he saw a group of date palms. Because he was in pursuit of the enemy, he noted the grove of trees on his map and forgot about it. After the war was over, he returned to those incongruous palm trees. From beneath the trees, he disinterred the remains of what turned out to be Avshalom Greenberg. 50 years before, betrayed, Avshalom had continued his mission into the Sinai desert. With a few dry dates in his pockets, he had succumbed to the devastating heat of the desert. From the dry dates in his pockets, there had miraculously sprouted date palms. As a hero of a long time ago, as a symbol of the struggle for the state of Israel, his remains were reinterred next to the grave of Theodor Herzl in the Jerusalem Military Cemetery. Never in his wildest imagination did Avshalom dream that 50 years later, tanks of the independent state of Israel, in full pursuit of the enemy attacker, would come upon date palms which had germinated from his mission. This, in short, is the divine miracle that is Israel today. It's a wonderful story, made more powerful because it is true. What most people forget, though, or choose not to see, is that in order for the palms to grow, Avshalom Greenberg had to die. The beauty of the resolution of the story masks the pain of all those who perished to make it happen. This, in short, is the situation in Israel today. The author Herman Wouk tells of I think his name is Wouk, it could be Wouk, tells of a meeting he had with David Ben-Gurion. Ben-Gurion urged him to move to the newly planted nation of Israel. And Wouk recalled, "What took you so long?" Ben-Gurion asked when Wouk finally visited Israel. "Well, I'm not here yet." And the next day, Wouk reported, "We came to Sde Boker," that was Ben-Gurion's home, "in a command car escorted by a jeep with a mounted machine gun." For you see, back in 1955, the raw little country was being bloodily harassed in broad daylight by Fedayeen, terrorists from Egypt and Gaza. When we were leaving, Ben-Gurion came out with his straight Zionist line, "No more hints. You must return here to live," he said. "This is the only place for Jews like you. Here you will be free." Free, with enemy armies ringing you, with their leaders publicly threatening to wipe out the Zionist entity, with roads impossible and impassable after sundown. Free? I didn't say safe. I said free. Without that understanding, without the wish to look in the mirror and see who we are, you can look for meaning, but you won't find it. Meaning comes from within. We may not be able to control what happens in our lives, but we control the meaning we ascribe to it and how we live and respond. We may not agree on how to pray, how to observe, or how to run our community. These disagreements are part of the reality that makes a community, but Israel is our foundation. It is what our community is built upon. It is part of our self-image. It is what has made us a community and has made our community a success. No matter how you view Israel, you will always be in conversation with her. Israel has changed. In fact, the only constant about Israel is change. The storylines change, but the story remains constant. And Israel, love of Israel, support of some part of Israel, is something you can give those you love. Shana Tova.